I want you to notice that the constant terms are all positive. So in the first one, plus 12, plus 9, plus 64, plus 2, plus 12, plus 15, all those are positive constants. Then the middle terms are all negative. Negative 7x, negative 6x, negative 20x, negative 3x, negative 15x, and negative 18x. So let's look at how we factorize this. Right, the first one, let's do it together. So you do the same thing like we did in the previous lesson, draw your brackets. Then your first term is x squared. So x squared should be x multiplied by x. And then we jump to the last term there. Let's just take the 12. So we are now looking for two factors of 12. Clearly those two numbers multiplied by each other should give us a positive answer, because that 12 there is positive. And so we need to ask ourselves, are the two numbers both positive or are they both negative? Because two negative numbers will give you a plus and two positive numbers will give you a plus when multiplied by each other. But in this case, when we add the numbers, we want to get the middle term. You will notice that the middle term in this case is negative. So the two numbers that we are looking for, which we multiply and get 12, should both be negative. So we need this to be negative because we are trying to get a minus 7. Right, now think of two numbers that you multiply together to get 12, but when you add them up together, they give you a 7. In this particular case, those numbers should be a 3 and a 4. So the first number should be minus 3 and the other number should be negative 4. So if you put your minus 3 in this bracket, then you can put your minus 4 in the other bracket. Remember, you can check your answers by FOIL. Right, just check your answers by FOIL. Always do. Let's look at the second question, number 2. This is x squared minus 6x plus 9. Right, so draw your brackets. The first term is x squared, so that's x multiplied by x. Then we jump to the 9, and we are looking for two numbers that will give us a 9. But take note that 9 is positive, so the two numbers should have the same sign. But which sign should that be? Is it the plus sign or the negative sign? And now, because there is a minus sign there, that tells us that the numbers should both be negative. So the numbers are negative, so we know this number will be negative and that number also will be negative. Now think of two numbers that you multiply to get a 9, but you add to get a 6. And those numbers should be 3 and 3. So your first number is minus 3 and the other number is minus 3. Right, so a minus 3 in this bracket and a minus 3 in the other bracket. Okay. Number 3. X squared minus 20x plus 64. Draw your brackets. X squared is x times x, so x goes there and there. Then we want to get two numbers that will give us 64 when we multiply them. But we need to get a positive 64, which means the numbers should have the same sign, either both negative or both positive. But we have a minus there in the middle term, so we know that our two numbers should be negative. So that number should be negative and the other number should be negative. Right, so what numbers are those? Because when we add them up together, they should get us a 20. Right, so they should give us 20. And those two numbers should be 4 and 16. Right, so check 4 multiplied by 16 should give us 64, but 4 plus 16 should give us 20. So those are our numbers. So the two factors that we are looking for are -4 and -16. Check by foiling. Right, question 4. X squared minus 3x plus 2. Let's draw the brackets. X squared is x times x, so x comes here and there. Then we focus on the 2. Think of two numbers that you can multiply together and get a plus 2. Now that is a plus 2. Definitely the numbers should carry the same sign. Either they should both be negative or they should both be positive. But in this question, we need to get a -3 there, which means the numbers we are looking for should be negative. Right, so let's look for those numbers. This is 2, so the only factors of 2 are actually 1 and 2. So clearly that number should be a -1 and that number should be a -2. So then put that in your brackets. So that's a -1 there and that is a -2 there. All right. Number 5, 3x squared minus 15x plus 12. You see now the difference here? Our x squared has a number in front. It has a 3 in front. The other examples had just a 1 in front. So that 3 should be factorized outside the bracket. So 3 is common. Can you see that? So 3 should go outside that big bracket there. So if you take 3 outside, you will remain inside there with x squared minus 5x plus 4. So if you distribute the 3 back into the bracket, that will give you 3x squared minus 15x plus 12. So that is how we do it there. Then draw your two brackets because that should be factorized. That trinomial should be factorized. X squared means x times x, so we put x there and x there. Then we focus on the 4. We are looking for two numbers that multiply each other to give us a plus 4. Right, for that to happen, we need the numbers to carry the same sign. Either they're both positive or they're both negative. But because we want to get a -5, it means those two numbers should be negative. So the first number is negative and the second one is negative. But what are the factors of 4 that can help us get a 5? Remember, 4 is 2 times 2, but 2 and 2 cannot give you a 5. 4 is also 1 and 4. 1 multiplied by 4 will give us 4. And 1 and a 4 added together can give us a 5. So that tells us that the one number is -1 and the other number is the -4. You multiply those two by each other, you'll get a +4. But you add those two to each other, you will get a -5. So the answer here is x minus 1 and x minus 4. So the complete factorized form should be 3 into x minus 1, x minus 4. Right, let's look at the last one. 3x squared minus 18x plus 15. Again, here we need to factorize the 3. 3 is common right across. So we get x squared in there, minus 6x there, plus 5. Right, check. If you multiply the 3 into the bracket, you will get 3x squared minus 18x plus 15. Okay, so now we draw our two brackets. X squared means x times x. Now focus on the 5. We need two numbers that can be multiplied by each other to give us a +5. That's a +5. So the numbers are either both positive or both negative. but because we want to get a minus there, it means our numbers are both negative. So these two numbers should be negative. Now think of the factors of 5. That will give us a 6 somehow. 5 is a prime number. The only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So that should be a 1 there, and that should be a 5 there. And you can check negative 1 multiplied by negative 5 should give you a positive 5. But negative 1 added to negative 5 will give you a negative 6. So your negative 1 goes into one of the brackets, and the minus 5 goes into the other bracket.